Welcome back to another week of fights. We got UFC 274 coming at you on Saturday.
Big
Controversy already.
Yep,
Not even to fight night.
Crazy.
Let's say we'll start off from the bottom and end with the controversial main event that we have here. Starting off, we have Journey Newsome versus Fernie Garcia. Journey Newsome is 0-2 in the UFC. Although he does have one KO win that was overturned for marijuana. Portland boy.
Portland boy, of course.
Representing Weed City.
Yep.
He's taking on Fernie Garcia, who's making his UFC debut, coming off a decision win on the Contender Series. Journey Newsome. I know you're picking him.
Because he's a Portland boy and he does have the KO.
Yeah.
That's about all I know of him.
Yeah, I don't know too much of these guys either. I'm going to root for Journey. I'm not including him on my official picks, but definitely rooting for him. Portland native. And
I think that's a good... Fernie may win. Isn't it a pick'em?
Yeah, it's basically... Fernie's minus 135, Journey's plus 115. Basically a pick'em here, though. I do like to fade the Contender Series guys coming in on their first fight, so...
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Moving up, we have Lupi Godinez coming in as a minus 180 favorite, taking on Ariane Carnelossi, plus 155 dog. Carnelosi's 14-2, 2-1 in the UFC. Lupi is 7-2, 2-2 in the UFC. Although that last loss was up at 125. If you saw Carnelossi weigh in, she is a Hulk for women's strawweight.
Yeah.
Jeez. But
proportionally, she's bigger than a lot of guys.
Yeah.
She's bigger than Royval.
Way bigger than Royval. Her arms must be triple the size of Royval's. Probably bigger than Chase Sherman, the heavyweight.
Could be.
Your boy.
She was one stacked fighter there.
Yeah, but
that weigh-in.
I am going to go with Lupi here over Ariane.
She's your favorite in many ways.
Yeah. I just love the fact that she took 3 fights on short notice in the span of 1 month. That's a Hamzat Chimaev level for the women's division. And
true.
Her 2 losses are decisions, a split to Jessica Penne, and then her last one against Luana Carolina, where Carolina was just much bigger than her, and they're both kind of on the ground fighters, wrestlers. Carnelossi probably stronger.
Yeah. Definitely.
Hulked up, but
yeah.
I'm going to go with Lupi here. I think the technique wins out over the power.
Okay.
And you have a pick for that fight?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No.
Next up, we have Clayton Rodriguez coming in at 7-1 as the minus 320 favorite. Huge favorite for a debuting UFC fighter.
Yeah.
Very interesting here against CJ Vergara, coming in as a plus 250 dog at 9-3, 0-1 in the UFC. This is another tough one. I haven't seen much of Clayton. Don't know why he's a minus 320 favorite here.
Yeah. I think possibly only because Vergara. I don't know. I'm confused too. I thought maybe there was reason. I was looking and I just couldn't seem to find one. Vergara is at least on Tapology, he's the 38th rank flyweight. So
I don't think Tapology rankings matter too much.
I know. Someday I want to look and see how they diverge from the actual UFC rankings.
Yeah.
But with all the other stuff I'm doing, it's time consuming.
Yeah, I'm sorry we haven't gotten you videos in the past 2 weeks. I've been moving out of my apartment, and we went up to a local MMA event up in Yakima.
It's been a busy couple weeks.
Yeah, but we're back, ready to be consistent and
Yeah.
roll out the content. So, up next, this is the first, I would say, interesting fight of the night. We have Tracy Cortez and Melissa Gatto. Basically a pick'em fight coming in with Cortez as the minus 140 favorite here. They're both undefeated in the UFC. Tracy Cortez is the only one of the two with a loss in general, as that came in her first ever professional fight. And she's also the girlfriend of Brian Ortega. Most beautiful couple in MMA.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. Yep.
But I'm going to go with Melissa Gatto.
You like Gatto, huh?
Gatto is my favorite women fighter. I mean, just that body kick. I love that body kick. And that body kick against Sahara Eubanks, the first person to finish Sahara Eubanks. It was a beautiful body kick, and she just crumpled over. And in the first fight, she broke her opponent's arm with a kick. So her kicks are pretty deadly. And while Cortez is a good wrestler, I think Gatto can nullify that and just deliver kicks that she's known for.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
That's a good wrap up on that. I mean, the kick is amazing, and so what did you say the odds were?
Plus 120 for Gatto,
okay.
minus 140 for Cortez.
Okay.
But Gatto was the underdog in her last fight against Sahara Eubanks, and I cashed out on that. So
nice.
Just riding with the underdog wave here for Gatto until she's properly recognized.
Or it gets proven otherwise.
Or it gets proven otherwise, right?
I agree with you.
Next up, we have a veteran of the sport, Francisco Trinaldo, 17-7 in the UFC, versus Danny Hot Chocolate Roberts, 7-4 in the UFC. This is also basically a pick'em fight. We got minus 115 for Trinaldo, minus 105 for Danny Roberts.
Yeah.
And
I went back and forth. First, I was with I like Roberts' height and his reach on this, and Trinaldo, he looked 43.
He is 43.
I know, and he looked it. I mean, there are other older guys that don't look their age.
Yeah.
Which, Chandler being one of them.
Shogun not being one of them.
Right. But now I'm thinking, Trinaldo's
Trinaldo's a dog, man.
Yeah, his victories are better, obviously, than Roberts. So
Roberts has been finished in every single one of his losses.
Yeah. So I think I'm going with Trinaldo.
I'm going to go with Trinaldo, too.
Yeah.
He's not one of my official 10 picks.
Right.
Because, he's 43. His chin's going to give out on him eventually. You never know if it's going to be this fight or 3 fights from now. But eventually it will give out. And I'm not willing to bank on that. But at pick'em odds, I do like Trinaldo.
Okay.
I think the odds are spot on. This is a pick'em fight.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think Roberts has the youth and, like you said, the height and reach, but Trinaldo's just a dog, man.
Yes. So I give it to him, and I think he will, pull this out.
Pull it out.
Yeah, I think if the competition wasn't Roberts, if it was just slightly better.
Yeah, I was not impressed by Roberts in his last fight against Amif. He got the split decision win, but
I think if the comp was just a little bit better,
Trinaldo, we just saw him beat Dwight Grant, who knocked down.
Yeah.
I can't even remember. Sergey Kandish, last fight. And, but next up, we have a heavyweight bout here. The first ranked fight of the night.
Yep.
Blagoy Ivanov, the number 15 ranked heavyweight, is a minus 150 favorite over Marcos Rogerio de Lima, coming in as a plus 130 dog. Lima is 8-5 in the UFC, while Ivanov has a losing record at 2-3. But those losses have been to guys like Derek Lewis, Junior Dos Santos, and Augusto Sakai. Whereas Lima's losses haven't been as spectacular or as known names. So
I was going with the Lima just because of the size.
We saw that last fight against Rothwell, just KO'd him in 30 seconds, it felt like.
And I know Ivanov's, he does have 2 losses in a row. He's 3 losses out of the last 5 fights. And it was Lewis, some other big
Junior
guys.
Dos Santos, and Augusto Sakai. But also, you have to take in consideration, he's never been finished. And he's fought in guys like JDS, Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis, I think, was a split decision, if I remember correctly. And for him to hang in there, he takes a shot well. I don't think De Lima's going to be the one to turn his lights off. And I think that's how De Lima would need to get it done. So I'm going with Ivanov here.
Okay.
This is the second one of my official picks. And
I'm sticking with De Lima.
He looked like you at the weigh-in, man.
He did look fatter than I thought he would be. So, you know, I think if Ivanov was more of a stand-up guy.
Well, he is a stand-up guy. He just doesn't necessarily have the power.
Right.
He's a former K1 kickboxer. And
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm not comfortable switching at this point. Even though I wasn't impressed at
you
the
love
weigh-in.
those dogs, huh?
Yeah, but he's not that low.
Let the dogs bark.
I mean, it's only plus 130, so, you know.
Which I think is kind of generous.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would have even off, probably minus 190, minus 200.
Oh, okay.
Whereas the next fight, Brandon Royval up against
Yeah.
Matt Schnell, I think this is a lot closer than the odds make it seem.
I think so, too.
Royval's the number 6 flyweight in the world, going up against Matt Schnell, the number 9 flyweight in the world, and Royval is a minus 255 favorite.
That does seem high.
I mean, both of them, neither one of them has amazing records in the UFC. Royval coming in at 3-2 in the UFC, and Schnell at 5-4. So whoever loses this is going to be a 500 fighter in the UFC.
Right.
So for one of them to be minus 255, it seems a bit extreme.
Right, I agree.
Especially after I just heard Royval talking about all the shoulder problems he's had.
Right.
Where his shoulder just dislocates, and that's what stopped the fight against Moreno. And I know he got surgery to get it fixed, but still a little bit worrying to me that it could just pop out.
And he's a wild guy. He,
Very
you know,
wild.
like they said, he'll just do a backflip in the middle of the... I mean, he's wild, and I think Schnell is a lot more methodical, and I just think has better IQ. I mean, you don't know really what Royval's IQ is because he does such crazy shit.
Yeah.
You don't know if it's really just spontaneous or if there's a reason behind the method to the madness. So I just like Schnell for all those reasons.
I feel that. I'm going to go with Royval here.
Yeah.
Although I don't think he's a minus 255 favorite. I think, barring anything with his shoulder, I think he's probably minus 150, minus 180 favorite. But just not too impressed with Schnell. I mean, I don't know. The flyweight division's pretty shallow, so...
Yeah. That's one way.
Royval's losses are a lot better than Schnell's. I mean, they're to Pantoja and Moreno.
Right, and Schnell's
two of the
had
top 3
some...
guys in the division.
And Schnell has had some canceled bouts.
I know you like betting against Royval, but I think this time it's going to come back and bite you, just like last time. Even though I thought Bontaran won.
Yes.
You bet on Bontaran. I thought he won.
I thought so,
but
too.
Luckily for me, Royval pulled out the sus decision.
Yeah, well, it's very sus.
Next up, we have a women's featherweight bout. Norma Dumont versus Macy Chiasson. Norma Dumont's coming in as a minus 225 favorite here, and I think that line is perfectly justifiable. I think Norma Dumont, she's faced, I wouldn't say much better comp because the women's featherweight division just doesn't have much competition in general, other than Nunez as the champion.
Right.
But I don't know. Chiasson, I haven't been impressed by her when she's fought better competition. She's 5-2 in the UFC. Norma Dumont's 3-1 with her one loss coming to Megan Anderson by KO. And I just don't think Chiasson has the power to put her out at 145. And I think Dumont just, although she missed weight, I don't know. The missing weight thing kind of threw me off a little bit because she's not a huge featherweight, so for her to miss weight was a little bit surprising, I guess. Still gonna pick her to win the fight, but a little less sure now that she missed weight. So
I don't really have skin in this one, so I don't disagree with what you said. I'm not
staying away from the women's.
Well,
fighters.
To me, I mean, there's just a lot of unknowns. I mean, with some of the bigger fights there aren't, but for this, I mean, what you said makes complete sense to me. So, I would go with that as well.
Next up, we have a pick'em fight. Randy Brown versus Chaos Williams in the men's welterweight division. Williams is 4-1 in the UFC. Randy Brown, a veteran, 8-4 in the UFC. Right now, the odds are Chaos minus 120. And we're split on this fight,
Yeah. I know it's really attractive to go with someone named Chaos. It just sort of
rolls off the tongue.
It does, and who doesn't want to back a fighter
Although his first
named
name
Chaos?
is Kalen. So
Kalen, so
it's a little less intimidating when you think about it that way.
And it's a pick'em. I like Randy's height. He has the longest legs I've ever seen.
Very, very long for the welterweight division.
And I mean, I know Chaos is not slow, but when you're comparing the tall legs and the speed, I think it gives Randy some advantage here.
I think those tall legs, tall skinny legs might come back to bite him a little bit.
Okay.
Because Chaos loves going to the leg first with his huge calf kicks.
Yeah.
Then after that, he likes to target the head once he's worn you down a little bit lower. As we saw against Baeza, I know my favorite fighter to pick against, Baeza.
Yeah.
Got a lot of chin issues, and Kalen was the first person to show those to the world by knocking him out last October.
Did he ruin Baeza's chin?
I don't think he ruined it. I think he was just the first person that was able to capitalize on it.
Okay.
And I think Baeza just leaves his chin straight up in the air like we saw in that Fiallo fight.
Exactly.
That he wins the fight up until he gets KO'd. And, he seems to be the favorite every time. So
yeah.
I'll keep riding that. But I think Chaos can get it done here. I think he's on a 2-fight finish streak. But either way, I think he'll finish Randy Brown.
It'll be interesting. I disagree a little, but it'll be interesting how it plays out.
Yeah, it's definitely a pick'em fight. I could see it going to Randy Brown, but I'm going to ride with Chaos here.
And if Chaos does finish the fight, believe me, I'll hear about it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
No, the next one you'll definitely be hearing about. Andre Fiallo versus... Who is that? Oh, Cameron Van Camp. Oh, that's right. Okay. So we have Fiallo at -410, the biggest favorite on the whole card.
Yes.
Even though he only has 2 UFC fights, he's 1-1, coming off the KO of the aforementioned Baeza.
Mm-hmm.
And your boy Van Camp is a UFC debutee.
Yes, he is.
Your boy.
He has the reason why. Don't laugh. I'm leaning and wanting. Hopefully, I have hope with him. It's not based all on paper, but he has finished some 6-0 fighters. He actually all his wins are finishes but one, and so I mean, it helps. Is he going to lose? Probably, but I think.
The underdog king needs to pick up the biggest underdog of the card.
Yeah, well, only because I see those things. I mean, if a lot of his wins were decisions, I don't think that pairs well with Fiallo. And so, because he does have a lot of finishes in almost all his wins, and I think if an underdog's going to do it, that would be a determining factor for me. So,
the thing I will say here, he's fought 2 UFC level competition. He's lost both of them. Lost them both by finish. Bobby Volker and Austin Hubbard. And the Austin Hubbard one is especially a little bit concerning, considering that Hubbard is a lightweight and was able to finish him. So, although he is coming off a 5-fight win streak, I believe.
Yes.
Fiallo is also 5-1 in his last 6. Fiallo has also showed at the UFC level he can knock out a top 20 welterweight in the world in Baeza.
I saw the Baeza fight. I mean, he took a few punches. I mean, he wasn't like...
That was my lock of the week.
He wasn't
Came through for me.
He wasn't like untouched in the Baeza fight.
He wasn't. But your boy Van Camp has knocked out, I think, 2 people in his whole career.
Most of them are submissions. Yes.
And
yeah.
I don't believe that Fiallo has really been a victim to submission that often. So I mean, he has 4 losses, and decision against Pereira on 10-day notice, decision against Antonio Dos Santos, a ground and pound to 185er Chris Curtis, and then a loss to Chidi and Jaquani, another 185er. So he's never been submitted in his career.
Right. I
And
mean,
that's Van Kamp's path to victory. So
Yeah. Fiala will probably win.
he will definitely win.
Probably win.
Definitely win.
Okay.
We'll talk about this next week on the
Recap?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
By the way, I know you started off the first 2 weeks pretty strong on camera, but these past 2 weeks we've still been picking fights, and
we have.
your boy's taking a commanding lead over here.
Me?
No.
Oh,
me.
you.
Definitely
Yeah.
not you. I'm 27-10 on my picks, and you're
Around 500.
below 500,
Around.
which is especially concerning given the fact that you were 13-9 in the first 2 weeks or something.
Something like that.
So yeah. If
Well,
you want to
last
listen
week-
to picks on here, make sure you're listening to the guy with the 27-9 record.
Something like that. 26-9,
Yeah.
something like that.
So,
But that one week was a bunch of newbies.
but you also picked Chase Sherman.
Well, that was
If you,
there was a history for that. There was a history. That was my funny pick.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna listen to picks, just don't listen to.
No
the
one
guy
knew.
that picked
Everyone
Chase
knew.
Sherman.
Everyone knew Chase Sherman wasn't going to win,
And yet
including
you
me.
still picked him.
Well, we had reasons which we won't get into here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're on to the main card now. We've got 2 retirement home fights in a row here.
We do.
Cowboy Cerrone coming in against Joe Lazone at 155. Cowboys -180 favorite.
Yep.
I think that's fair. Cowboys 23-13 in the UFC, and Lazone is 14-12. Both veterans of the game, veterans of the sport, veterans of the company. And Dana said whoever loses this is
Ouch.
out.
Ouch.
So
Well, when you're sitting here looking at, not exactly the UFC rankings, but a ranking where one is 109 and the other is 70, when you're getting that far down into the rankings,
I mean,
It's-
you can't base things off Tapology rankings, dude. That's at welterweight. One's at welterweight.
yeah, and one's at lightweight. That's true.
Yes.
I didn't.
Cowboy hasn't fought at lightweight in a couple of fights.
That's true.
It's interesting to see how the weight cut will affect him, given the fact that he's
Yeah.
already being KO'd at welterweight.
He looked really thin, which, in the weigh-in, which he had to be because...
But he didn't
dropping
look
down.
bad at the weigh-in. He looked thin,
No.
but he did not look drawn out. He was
Right.
able to still pick up his son easily, have him on
He
his
didn't
shoulder.
look gray. He didn't look like he just got out of a coffin.
Didn't look like Oliveira.
No. Right. So that's, I'm going with Cowboy.
I'm going to go
I
with
mean,
Cowboy, too. I think his size advantage is
yeah.
just a little bit too much for Lazone to overcome.
And I just think he has experience. Super...
Well,
he's
Lazone has experience,
Yeah,
too.
but Cowboy's... I don't know. I think Cowboy has more experience in the limelight than... And not that really, on paper, matters, but...
The thing I will say, Lazone, I do respect the fact that he has taken a couple years off to kind of get his head right, and Cowboy's been taking a lot of beatings in these past couple years, so his move down to lightweight is a little bit scary coupled with all those beatings, and although he's my pick, I'm not too confident in this one that I'd pay a 180 price tag on it.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you should switch to the zone.
No.
No? Okay. Okay.
Next up, we have Shogun Hua versus
Yes.
OSP, Ovin St. Preux.
I'm like OMG on this one.
OSP, the -240 favorite, coming in against Shogun Hua at +195. Shogun's 11-10 in the UFC versus 13-11 for OSP. OSP has been dabbling in the heavyweight division, which has not been a good look for him.
No.
And I'm very glad he's back down at 205 and says he's going to stay there. So let's hope that's true.
Yeah. I think 205 works with him much better.
Much better.
And the weigh-in today, oh my God. I mean,
looked like they just picked up a dude off the street.
they did. It just didn't look good.
Shogun did not look
I
like
don't
himself.
know what he'd been doing in training. Looked like he was just cutting so much. He cut muscle mass too.
Yeah.
I mean, or he never had any to begin with. I don't know, but OSP is a jacked dude, and I know muscle guys get beat all the time, but not by somebody who looked like Rua. I just would be totally shocked.
I don't know.
And
Your boy
aside from
Sherman got choked out by Chubby Collier.
I mean, he did. It's but actually, Sherman didn't have much muscle tone going with him in that fight either.
And this is also a rematch.
It is.
First fight took place, I believe, in 2014 or
that
maybe even
yeah.
longer. And OSP knocked him out in under a minute.
Yeah. And I don't think nothing changes. I didn't see anything that would change that for me.
I mean, last fight, Shogun tapped out to strikes by Paul Craig. I don't think I've ever seen Paul Craig punch anybody.
I know.
He's always on his
choking.
back getting his ass beat until he pulls off an amazing submission. And, And Shogun said that he hurt his elbow maybe. And that's why he tapped out, but still.
Yeah.
To tap to strikes from Paul Craig is not a great look.
So I don't think this is a difficult choice, and it could be higher than 240 for OSP. If it was in the 300s, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. I think minus 240 is a little high. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, Ovens hasn't looked great in his last couple fights either. I don't think this is going to be a great fight to watch. Ovens is pretty timid nowadays. He doesn't throw a lot. I think Shogun is the same way. He realizes his chin isn't the same. So they both have a tendency to kind of hold back. I don't think this is going to be a great fight to watch, but I think Ovens will get it done. Maybe he comes in with confidence, knowing that he already knocked him out in under a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And they were supposed to fight back in 2017 at a fight night main event, and Shogun had to pull out and ended up being against Yushin Okami. But this is a rematch that the UFC's been wanting to make for years, and I'm honestly not sure why.
Yeah, not at this point.
No.
It's like, I know we wanted to do it 5 years ago.
I mean, he knocked him out in 34 seconds. It wasn't like it was some long, drawn-out battle like Gaethje Chandler or something where obviously everybody would be clamoring to see the rematch. But it makes sense for both of them in their careers. They're both hitting the tail end of it. And Shogun more so than Ovens. But.
Well, and, if OSP looks good, that I would think that gives him another good fight.
Yeah.
So
Shogun said that this isn't even going to be his last fight. He wants one more after this.
Oh. Well, OSP's going to win.
Not sure.
It's just how he wins and how it looks when he wins.
I think he'll KO Shogun.
I think so too.
Next up, these are the really interesting ones here.
Yes.
Michael Chandler versus Tony Ferguson. Chandler coming in as minus 350 favorite. That line was as high as minus 420 just a week ago. So, got some money coming in on Ferguson, it seems like. Ferguson's 15-4 in the UFC versus Chandler's 1-2, but those two losses have been to Gaethje and Oliveira. And Chandler was a dominant champion in Bellator for forever.
Yeah. I love Chandler.
I love Chandler, but I don't love his fighting style. I loved watching it, but don't love it for him. He can be suckered into a dogfight, and I think he could have won that fight against Gaethje. And
if he just played it differently.
Yeah, he doesn't use his brains out there. He uses everything but his brains. And against Ferguson, that could be an issue if Tony can play him into a dogfight.
Well, I'm going to be devastated if Chandler doesn't win this because there'll be 2 losses in a row, and three. That's right, and because there was
They're both
Oliveira.
on losing streaks right now. Ferguson on a 3-fight.
Yeah, but the loss to Gaethje was so, it was such a good fight that,
Yeah, but
there was a winner and not really a
who's
loser.
To say if that went 5 rounds, I think Chandler ends up just as bad as Ferguson did against Gaethje. Because if you remember that 5-round fight against Gaethje we watched, I mean, Ferguson dropped Gaethje in the 2nd round with an uppercut.
Right, he did.
And he didn't look too bad. I mean, he was getting his ass beat just like Chandler was, but who's to say if they went 5 rounds it doesn't end up the same? And then Tony Ferguson was able to survive the storm against Charles Oliveira, go to decision. Chandler got KO'd.
Yeah.
And I think this fight is a lot closer than the line indicates.
You think?
I do, yes.
But you still think Chandler will win?
I still think Chandler will win, but there's just this thing in the back of my head telling me to pick Ferguson. And
maybe you should.
I might.
Yeah.
I might.
Well, I see your point. I think if it's a smart fight, Ferguson can win.
I mean,
because you're right. I mean, Chandler gets out there and he just...
And Ferguson took a year off to recover.
Yeah.
Chandler's 5 months since that Gaethje fight where he got his ass beat.
He did.
I mean, if you saw him in the hospital next to Gaethje.
Yeah. It wasn't pretty.
And his legs got beat up. There's no way his legs are... Tony needs to attack the legs and...
Yeah.
I don't like the fact that he's gotten KO'd and that Gaethje wore in the past 8 months. Or past year.
Yeah.
But,
some guys can take that.
Yeah.
And I think if somebody can, it's Chandler. And I like his fighting style. I think it opens him up to getting his ass kicked. But like you said, it's exciting. It's fun to watch.
Oh, I was definitely a fan of his fight style as a fan, but just not as a analyzer. I mean...
Well, it sounds like you may go with Ferguson.
I'm pretty 50-50 on this one right now. And I'm going to pick Chandler, but I might throw a bet on Ferguson.
Okay.
Because it's a lot closer than plus 270 for me.
I'm wondering if I should switch at this point, too. I mean, I like Chandler emotionally. I like the way he fights. It's exciting. But you made some really good points about Ferguson. And I think when the fight starts, we'll be able to see very quickly how Ferguson's going to approach this. And for me, it's not so much what Chandler does, because I think we all know what he's going to do. It's how is Tony going to... Is he going to go for the legs at first? Or is he going to just try there and go toe-to-toe and not...
Because Ferguson does not have the power of Chandler.
No.
He cannot just sit there and go toe-to-toe.
Right.
He needs to switch things up, which he always does, but I think I heard somebody say his unpredictability is becoming predictable.
Yeah.
And I think that's true for Ferguson, so hopefully with this year off, he's able to switch a couple things up and make this look a lot closer than a minus 400, plus 270 fight.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But I am still leaning Chandler here, so...
Well, you have 24 hours.
Yep. Next up, we have the Women's Strawweight Championship. Rose Namajunas versus Carla Esparza 2. First fight happened back in 2014 for the inaugural Women's Strawweight Championship, which Carla won via 3rd round submission. Since then, Carla has amassed a 9-4 record in the UFC, while Rose has gone 9-3, and Rose has recaptured the belt 2 different times. She's coming in as the minus 210 favorite here.
Do you think that's fair?
I think that's fair. I think maybe I'd go like minus 170 for Rose.
Right.
I think Carla has an advantage, obviously, in the wrestling.
Yeah.
But Rose has gotten a lot better at defending takedowns. And I know Weili Zhang took her down 5 times in her last fight, but that's also because of the threat of her on her feet, which Carla doesn't really have. And also in a 5-round fight, I think Carla has shown signs of gassing. Rose does not. Her cardio is incredible. So that's what really tilts it for Rose, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And Rose is obviously a much longer, lankier, better striker.
Right.
Crazy power for a girl her size.
I agree with everything that you said. I mean, there's nothing that I feel like I can add to that. Yeah. And that's why I'm going with her as well.
I think Carla, if she gets it done, it's going to have to be within the first 2 to 3 rounds.
Yeah.
I mean, she also has a nasty cut on her eye, Carla does, that has not healed all the way, it looks like. I mean, I just saw an interview and it was still noticeable. So if Rose can kind of focus on that, like not focus, try and, I guess, focus on that.
Focus on the eye. Yeah.
But that could be a good weapon, and I think Rose takes this unless Carla gets an early finish, but I don't see that happening. So
right.
Sorry guys, camera died, but like I was saying, Rose has gotten a ton better with her movement side to side, which is going to make it a lot harder for Esparza to take her down than in the first fight. I mean, it's hard to take somebody down when they're moving laterally instead of horizontally. Or
saw that in the Bilal fight.
Fuck that. Gotta give it to the Bilal.
Yeah, but how did
great
Luke,
lateral movement.
How did Luke not know
Fixed
that
fight. Fixed fight.
How did he know that wasn't going to happen?
That was a Luke fight all the way, man.
It was.
Anyways, my official pick here is Rose Namajunas.
I agree with you.
She'll get either a late TKO or a decision win.
Yeah.
I think Carla's only path to victory, like I said, is the first or second round TKO on the ground or submission, but I just don't see that happening here.
Yep, I agree.
Next up,
the biggie.
What we thought was the lightweight title fight, but now it's just half of a lightweight title fight. We got the former champion, Charles Oliveira. Former champion. Did not think I would be saying that today. Versus Justin Gaethje, the only man that can walk away with this with the belt. Oliveira, he was a -170 favorite coming into the day, dropped all the way down to -140 after the weigh-ins. Gaethje's coming in at +120.
So it's almost a pick'em.
Almost. I think it will get to a pick'em maybe by the time that this fight takes place.
So first time in history someone has vacated because of a missed weight.
On the day before the
fight. Jeez.
You're champion, man.
And you couldn't lose a half a pound. Wow. You know.
Chandler's coming in.
It's like when you rob a bank. You don't rob a bank for $1,000. If you're gonna miss weight, miss it big. Yeah. Not a half a pound.
He had an hour to make up half a pound. And
couldn't do it.
No fluids left in his body, I guess. But
well, I saw him walk away. He didn't look. I mean, his face looked bad, but the body didn't look that bad. I felt like if he just got in a sweatsuit and got on a bicycle.
Sure he tried.
You would think. But geez, a half a pound.
Not a good look for a championship fight, especially when his opponent, Justin Gaethje, showed up 30 minutes before the weigh-in, was the first person to weigh in, made weight, and was already 165 by the time Oliveira weighed in. That's just the... He had already gained 10 pounds by the time Oliveira was still trying to cut a half a pound.
That's a guy with some IQ.
Yes.
Definitely some IQ. And Gaethje is not a dumb guy. And
no. He may appear like a brickhead, but he's a smart guy.
He is.
And he's got real smart people around him with Trevor Whitman, Rose, Kamaru.
I mean, when you do that, when you show up 30 minutes early, and by the time your opponent's weighing, trying to make weight, several hours later, 6-7 hours later, you're already 10 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
It's like, great move.
Now Oliveira has nothing to lose in this fight, which does make him a little bit more dangerous in my opinion.
Yeah.
However, he also might be unmotivated now.
Yeah, you don't know which way that's going to go.
And we've seen Oliveira quit in the past. And I know all the talk leading up to this fight was Gaethje saying, once a coward, always a coward. Yep, if you quit, they're still quitting you. And we're going to find out this fight. We're going to find out if that quit is still in Oliveira after this missed weight. If he comes out and shows that he has nothing to lose, then all power to him.
And he has nothing to win, actually.
I don't even know what's going to happen if he wins.
I mean, he has nothing to lose and nothing to win. I mean, if he wins...
If he wins, maybe he gets put in the vacant title fight.
He probably gets put in.
That's not even a given, though. Who knows how mad Dana's going to be at this?
At missing. That's true.
Could be Islam versus Beneil for the vacant title fight after this.
If there was no emotion involved in the decision, if Oliveira happens to win, then you would think, yes, he would get.
He deserves to if he wins, but you never know with Dana.
Right. But he screwed this whole thing up so badly that maybe he should be punished if he wins.
I mean, the first one in history.
I know.
Really?
And
he was a former featherweight.
And we don't know what communications he's had with Dana or with the UFC in general.
And the best part about it was him and his coach last night posted that he made weight.
Yeah.
But he made weight 18 hours ago, and yet he's overweight on the scale.
But to the earlier point, if Dana has said, yes, if you win this, you get the vacant title shot. If he says, no, you don't, then what motivation is there to win?
Right, and I think if he's talked to Dana and Dana's kind of made it clear, even if you win, who cares?
Who cares?
Then if Gaethje hits him with a bomb like Chandler and Poirier did in the first round,
he may lay down.
He may just say, why bother?
Why bother? Why get beat up?
But even before this, I was leaning Gaethje.
Yeah, well,
Gaethje's my favorite fighter. I think it was a pick'em fight before this, 50-50. But I was leaning Gaethje just because he was the underdog, my favorite fighter.
Of all time.
Power is ridiculous for the 155 division.
Yeah.
But now with this weight miss, it's just... I think it went from a 50-50 fight to like a 65-35 fight.
Yeah.
And Gaethje's still the underdog, so snatch him up while you can.
Right. I mean, because he's only plus 120, you'd have to put a shitload of money down to get something.
It's plus 210 by KO.
Oh, by KO? Oh, okay. Oh, there's some money there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I agree. It's
combine him with the Melissa Gatto plus 900 for KO. That's some cheddar right there. Can't believe Gatto's plus 900 for a KO.
Wow. I hope you did that.
I did. Of course I did.
Of course you did.
Listen.
So, yeah, I mean, I was also for Justin to begin with. I've just felt like he's had the advantage the whole time. I thought, the power. There was, in the Chandler Oliveira fight, there was, a couple times I thought Chandler was going to finish him.
Yeah.
And he didn't. But I can guarantee you, if that was Gaethje leveling those hits, it would have been done.
And the thing about Oliveira, when he gets dropped, it's the scary thing about Oliveira. You don't want to go into his guard.
Yeah.
So I think Gaethje has the most one-shot KO power in the division, and that's really going to come in handy here because if you just knock him down, I don't think Gaethje's going to jump into his guard and try and finish him. But Gaethje can always knock you out with one punch. And I think that's probably what's going to happen here. Maybe he knocks him down and lets him back to his feet, and he's still a little bit wobbled, and Gaethje's going to finish it off.
I've always felt like Gaethje had a better chance than what the odds were. I always thought he was sort of, in my book, the favorite.
I know. I don't think he would be a favorite, but a pick'em.
I did.
Sure.
He's just an amazing, well-rounded fighter, and
people don't know he was an all-American wrestler. I mean, I just showed Brian his first ever amateur. Yeah. He wrestles like he fought, man.
Yeah.
That was crazy. First amateur fight, he picked dude up and slammed him on his head and knocked him out.
Knocked him out cold. And that was in wrestling.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the times that Justin has gotten in trouble is when he actually fights a little like Chandler.
Gets into a dogfight.
Right. And
Poirier,
Oliveira.
Alvarez.
I don't think he's that guy in this fight. I don't think he's that guy.
And then Khabib, obviously. Yeah. Everybody loses to Khabib, but he did a great job stuffing the takedowns and making Khabib work and staying away from the fence for the first 2 rounds of that fight.
Yeah.
And Oliveira has tricky takedowns, but they're not on Khabib's level.
No. And so I've always felt Justin was sort of a clear favorite. Not a overwhelming favorite, but a clear favorite to me.
What would you line it?
I would do, like minus 250 for Justin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. It's a pick'em fight. At most, I would give minus 120 to Justin. Now with the weight boost, I would give it minus 150 to Justin, but there's no way he's a minus 250 favorite.
I'd bet the house on Justin. Even before the fight, I was going to bet the house on Justin. You know, if I had a house to bet, I would have bet the house. I just tons of confidence in his ability with this opponent.
Yeah. I think people are still overlooking Oliveira.
Yeah.
I don't know what more he has to do to gain the respect of people like Brian, but
I picked him against Dustin.
Which is crazy to me. How do you pick him against Dustin and not Justin?
Well, because
Dustin beat Justin.
I know, but Dustin beat Justin because Justin was fighting more like Chandler instead of the mature fighter he is now.
Yeah. I agree
and so, I think you have a better fighter right now against Oliveira than Dustin Poirier was.
Yep. So both going Gaethje?
Yep, we are. Absolutely.
Right, so my 10 picks for the fight card are Gaethje, Rose Namajunas, Michael Chandler, Donald Cerrone, Andre Fialho, Chaos Williams, Norma Dumont, Brandon Royval, Blagoy Ivanov, and Melissa Gatto. And then my one, in case one falls off like they always do for the past couple weeks, I think my backup is going to be Francisco Trinaldo.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
For my backup in case the fight falls off.
I agree with a lot of yours, especially at the top. At the bottom and the middle, we seem to diverge. I'm more willing to throw the dice on the bottom part of the card.
Yeah, your record indicates it.
Ooh, burn. I'll be catching up, dude. So, starting from the bottom, yeah, whatever. Obviously, Justin, the Saint Justin Gaethje, and then Rose as well, Chandler, OSP, and then I'm going with Brown on this one. As much as I like Chaos's name, I like Randy on this, the height, the legs, and then Schnell, and then De Lima, Trinaldo, and then the Portland boy Newsom.
Better hope he doesn't pop for that.
Yeah, no.
Marijuana.
No kidding. And then my backup fight is actually Cerrone, Cowboy.
Cerrone.
Yeah, he's gonna
Cerrone.
Cerrone. Depends. Italian, you know. If it would be
That's
calzone.
I just found out my mom plays pickleball with Donald Cerrone's aunt.
No, that's crazy.
Little weird tidbit up in Colorado.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
But
that is funny. That is funny. So yeah, he's my alternate fight, backup fight in case something drops out here.
okay.
So
What's your lock of the week?
My lock is the Randy Brown Chaos fight.
Randy Brown.
Yeah, what's yours?
Let's see, I need an underdog.
Yeah.
And, my girl Melissa Gatto.
I knew you were gonna go with
my
that.
girl.
I knew you were gonna go with her for the lock in. So.
Yeah, Tracy Cortez, great fighter, great wrestler, but
I don't know, I have lock. Maybe that means loser. I don't know. Yeah.
I think I'm 4-0 on my locks, whereas you can't say the same about you.
We should keep track of that, shouldn't we, on the locks? I'll have to look that up.
But anyways, until next week, coming
Until next week.
Jabs and Dabs.